This week on Unscripted, we have a few backstage notes from Evolution, who ran the show, and what was Vince McMahon's role overall. Minor notes coming out of Crown Jewel. We have one injury to talk about and how long this superstar will be out for. And NXT invades Evolve with a couple new champions. This and more on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're back again for Unscripted episode 42 for November 3rd, 2018, as we are coming close to the end of the year and the end of the first season and the first year of Unscripted, as we get closer and closer to episode 50, which will be the last episode of this year. Anyway, we still have a few episodes to go before we get to that. Of course, as we do every week with Unscripted, we go over what happened on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and that's it this week because Mae Classic ended last week. Monday Night Raw, there really wasn't anything big that happened other than the final push for Raw and SmackDown to Crown Jewel. SmackDown has a little bit more to talk about because of the match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, which was supposed to take place at Crown Jewel, but Daniel Bryan said no to Crown Jewel. We do have news on why the real reason he said no to Crown Jewel, and it's not the reason that a lot of people think. We also have talk about those invaders of NXT, as we do have a couple new champions of Evolve who are NXT superstars themselves. But so much to talk to. Monday Night Raw, as I said, we had the final push to Crown Jewel. We had Bobby Lashley being the man named to replace one John Cena, who we also have news on why he decided not to go to Crown Jewel. And a lot of people wondering why. I have it here, and we'll talk about that. The final thing we saw for this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, of course, was DX confronting the Brothers of Destruction, playing mind games, and Shawn Michaels hitting The Undertaker with a super kick to close the show. Other than that, we also had the first and final stand down between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman before their match at Crown Jewel, with Baron Corbin trying his best to make sure these two will not brawl and paying for it in the end. So, and that entire segment did play a factor into Crown Jewel itself, from what I've read. We will talk a little about Crown Jewel when we get to those news stories. I did not watch Crown Jewel because I did not believe it should have happened anyway. And it does turn out that Vince McMahon was bound and determined to place Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia no matter what. Which Vince McMahon is stubborn, and anybody should know Vince McMahon sold his soul a long time ago to he is Satan himself, because he does not give a crap about anything but money. But none of that right now. The stand down between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman was just Of course, Baron Corbin got in the way, and nothing else you can really talk about there. Really not much else happened on Monday Night Raw. We did have a 10-woman tag match, which kind of annoyed me a little bit because we did have Evolution the night before with 2 tag team matches from Raw and SmackDown. And what did we have after that? Not from Raw and SmackDown, but 2 matches from Raw that ended up being smashed together. And it was just one of those things that WWE is like, wow, this was historic. Let's Let's take those two matches and just smush them together on Monday Night Raw. We've done this before, and it gets so utterly annoying that they do this. It's like you have this big time, first time ever match with these matches happening. Let's just put them together because we are lazy. WWE's booking, in my opinion, is in the worst state it has ever been. I don't know what to tell anyone else, but Monday Night Raw is at its all-time lowest, and it's not getting any better. SmackDown Live, on the other hand, had a pretty good show this week outside of the Trick or Street fight because it was All Hallows Eve, which happens to be my girlfriend's birthday, which is awesome. But yes, we had a Trick or Street fight, which of course is WWE's. I swear, WWE has a contract with USA Network that when a holiday comes up, whether it's the day before, the day of, or the day after, they have to have a holiday-themed match or they void the contract. I just don't get why we have to keep on lowering ourselves to see a Trick or Street fight or a St. Valentine's Day street fight or a Miracle on 34th Street fight or this or that. It's just why do we have to continue to see these things? They just annoy the hell out of people who care about about wrestling, about WWE. It just cringe as fuck. And with WWE, with the rumors, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, of Fox wanting more serious WWE and not this hokey shit that we saw this past Tuesday, I hope the hell they pull this off, because I don't want to see Trick or Street fights or Miracle on 34th Street fights or the Turkey Bowl, where I am so glad SmackDown is not on Thursdays anymore because of Thanksgiving. God, I hated this. We'll have a food fight on Thanksgiving or a food fight on, like the 4th of July food fight we had a couple years ago where Kevin Owens got pied in the face, which they never followed up on that, which would have been funny if it would have been like a babyface or like a Hornswoggle come back or something, but they didn't follow up on it. That's what you get there. Now, the opening match, of course, was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, because they did have a confrontation beforehand, and AJ Styles said, you know what, we don't have to wait till Crown Jewel, we can do this right now. Shane McMahon came out and said, sure, we're going to do this right now, and it was a way for WWE to write Daniel Bryan off of Crown Jewel. It was a damn good match, and for SmackDown, I'm not going to say it was Match of the Year candidate, but for a SmackDown match, it was a damn good match. And hopefully, I'm going to say this now, hopefully we can see these two again, one-on-one, no commercial interruption, on a pay-per-view. AJ Styles is going to eclipse 365 days this coming Wednesday. AJ Styles will have held the title for a full year. Now, if you would have told me in 2015 that AJ Styles is coming to WWE, he's going to bypass NXT, he's going to win the WWE Championship in his first year. Yes, mind you, his first year, he won the WWE Championship. Then, in his second year, he's going to win the WWE Championship again, and then he's going to hold that title for a year. I would have said you're crazy. I don't know what you're smoking, but can I get some of that? In other words, I would have never believed you. So, it's great to see someone like AJ Styles, who Ric Flair and others call the current day Shawn Michaels, not be buried like WWE expected him to be, even though they technically do bury the WWE Championship. Now, Jinder Mahal killed the WWE Championship so badly that AJ Styles is barely doing anything. Like, he's trying to bring back prestige to the title, but it's very hard to bring back prestige to a title in which it's almost dead. The only reason the WWE Championship is not as dead as the Universal Championship, which is still a dead championship, even though Roman and WWE really disrespected Roman Reigns by the way the match for the Universal title at Crown Jewel went, but we'll get to that later. Yet, the only reason that the WWE Championship is not in a more worse state than it is because A, the Universal Championship has been a laughingstock since the day it was made. It was introduced at SummerSlam in 2016, and B, it has been around since the 60s. It is one of the oldest titles in the world. I think the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship, or the Heavyweight Championship, is the only title outside of the NWA title, which I mean titles that actually matter. The 10 pounds of gold, even though I know that Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis tried to do a little bit to make it worth something, it is not. It's a title that really doesn't matter anymore. When Ric Flair showed up on WWF television with the World Heavyweight Championship, which was the big gold belt, which was representing the NWA Championship at the time, that kind of killed the NWA, and they haven't recovered yet since. Even though they've tried. They've tried with Impact Wrestling. They even tried with WWE. Yes, they did a WWF invasion with them, and it just didn't work. Either way. So yeah, the main event for SmackDown was a tag team match between Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton and The Miz, which of course were the 4 members for SmackDown for the U.S. Open. I'm not calling it a World Cup. It was never a World Cup in the first place. In between those two things, when we got, I believe, halfway through the show, Shane McMahon brings all 4 members of the World Cup for SmackDown into his office and like, hey, nothing is going to be worse for me than my sister being able to call somebody on her brand the best in the world. So here's the deal. If somebody from, like, one of you 4 members, if you get to the finals and you lose, you are no longer welcomed here on SmackDown. Do a little wrinkle into the way the whole thing, making it was like, maybe some little bit of unpredictability. Maybe we'll see a Randy Orton or a Jeff Hardy make it. When it came to the finals, the only person, if they were going to have SmackDown lose, that I think could have made it to the finals and lose would have been Randy Orton, because you need Miz on SmackDown for Daniel Bryan. Rey Mysterio just came back, and Jeff Hardy's not going over to Monday Night Raw right now because he just came over like Miz and Jeff Hardy just came over to SmackDown at the Superstar Shakeup. So those 3 guys would have made absolutely no sense. Randy Orton would have been the one that I would have said, well, if they want to have somebody not made welcome back to SmackDown Live, I would have had it be Randy Orton. That, of course, as we knew from Crown Jewel, did not matter anyway. But the farthest that we got for that, we'll talk about later. NXT UK. I've been trying to find a reason why, and the only thing I can think of it, why did we get 2 episodes of NXT UK this week when, well, the first show, which was headlined by Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson, which was an excellent match. Probably the match of Wednesdays from NXT UK to NXT, because NXT had a great show, but when it came to all the matches from all 3 shows, I'd say Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson was the best match of probably the entire week. Plain and simple, it was just that good of a match. And then Wolfgang versus Mark Andrews was the second main event. Now, the only reason I can think that we had 2 episodes is because WWE is forced to speed things up when it comes to UK, simply because somebody in the office, when they were booking Evolution, forgot that I don't know. We have a UK Women's Championship that's supposed to be at Evolution, and we can't put it on there because that title has not made it into continuity yet. So why, oh shit, we gotta move this thing up a little bit faster, because if we don't, then people are going to be wondering, where's the UK Women's Championship? Because there is a UK Women's Champion named, name redacted if you don't know who it is, but she had to put her title on the line in the dark match because it still made no sense. So, yeah, my thing about it is, because they started taping NXT UK shows in July. If you would have started them in August or like the end of August, like I think NXT UK should have started the week after NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4. That would have made sense to me, because I believe they did 8 episodes, 4 on one day and 4 on the next day, so that's 8 episodes. They still probably would have barely made it to NXT to Evolution with that championship. I'm not sure. So WWE, somebody in WWE really screwed up there, because there should have been another match on the main show, but nobody realized until it was like, oh, this is not good. We need to do something about this. So that's why they did that. We also had, looks like the birth of a faction in Wolfgang with the Coffee Brothers after the final match between Mark Andrews and Wolfgang, which afterwards the Coffee Brothers came down, beat the hell out of Mark Andrews until Flash Morgan Webster came down. Wolfgang looked like he was going to help Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews, but nope, swerve. He joined the other guys. We'll see what happens next week with this, and I expect them to build off of that. A lot of people are like, well, it's like UK stuff, the wrestling matches sometimes are good, but there's really nothing there yet. Well, if you think about it, go back to NXT on the network. I think it's on there now. Go back to the first episodes of NXT after Seth Rollins won the NXT Championship up until 2014. They didn't have that many good matches back then. Yes, they know it wasn't on the network yet, because the network didn't exist yet. But still, they had to grow and build the brand. That's what NXT UK is doing right now. Eventually, NXT UK will have, hopefully, I don't know if it ever will, but hopefully NXT UK will be able to I don't think it's going to be able to surpass NXT, just because the talent on NXT UK, yes, it's great talent, but NXT itself has the superior brand of the two, bar none. Right, on NXT UK, you have Pete Dunne, you have Zach Gibson, Travis Banks, you have the Coffee Brothers, you have Ligero, you have Mark Andrews, and a couple other ones and Wolfgang, and a couple other ones I can't think off the top of my head. But NXT, you have the Undisputed Era, you have War Raiders, Ricochet, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle just made his debut, Cassius Ohno, you have Nikki Cross, you have just so many more in NXT that I don't think NXT UK will ever be able to surpass NXT. I could be wrong, but we still have way to go. Then we get to NXT this week, which was a damn good show as well, because one, the War Games match got set, which I'm honestly looking forward to over everything SummerSlam weekend, even though we have AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar 2 now, thanks to Crown Jewel. We have Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. We have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. The only title versus title match we don't have set yet is the Bar versus the Tag Team Champions for Raw, because we don't have any idea what's going on with that, and we kind of need to get that settled between this week coming up and the week after this. But somebody needs to go and like, hey, we just gave our tag team championships to 2 guys who are feuding now. What do we do with these? Hopefully we'll have that addressed on Monday. The biggest thing coming out of NXT was Aleister Black looking for revenge on Johnny Gargano. Attention to detail. Nikki Cross went up against Mercedes Martinez in a very good match. After her match, after she drops to her knees and tells Mercedes, this was fun, and Mercedes leaves, out comes Candice LeRae, who was wearing a black tank top, black jeans, black lipstick, hair is down. She usually has her hair like up and it's all like fuzzied and everything, and like curly and everything. Her hair was straightened and down. She had black boots on. She looked like she literally walked over to Darth Vader and said, yeah, I'll join the dark side. And she is now evil Candice LeRae. She told Nikki Cross, you're messing with people's lives because you didn't tell her, like, bring this up sooner with Johnny Gargano. This isn't funny. Why are you playing games? Of course, Nikki Cross just laughs at her as she walks away. Aleister Black comes in and asks her, where is Johnny? She has no answer for him. And later on in the night, not Johnny Gargano, but William Regal did make the match. Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver War Games. If it wasn't for the War Games match, I would say this is going to be match of the night. This might be singles match of the night, but nothing, I don't care what it is, nothing beats this War Games match with the Undisputed Era versus the War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne. I cannot wait for that match. We also got the Velveteen Dream versus Tommaso Ciampa, which is going to be a great match. Speaking of Tommaso Ciampa, like yesterday I'm looking on Twitter, and Tommaso Ciampa puts a edited photo out because there was the night after, it was Monday after Super Showdown, DX made they reformed for Crown Jewel, and Shawn Michaels and Triple H had a photo shoot in the back, and you saw Shawn Michaels out front with the X in front of him and Triple H over his shoulder. Tommaso Ciampa took that and put his head on Triple H and Gargano's on Shawn Michaels. He said, and I think I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, what I'm looking forward to most in Crown Jewel is look into my future, and that's what that picture was, because he's talking about him and Johnny Gargano reforming DIY, and in the vein of Shawn Michaels and Triple H of DX. So, and it was DIY Evolution, I think was the hashtag. Which, if Johnny Gargano is full blown heel now, which I just don't buy it, man. This dude should have been NXT champion in Philadelphia. I still think Triple H and them in the company in NXT dropped the ball with that one. I don't care what else you want to think. He should have won that championship because, yes. And again, WWE misses the boat with an opportunity that they should have taken. Johnny Gargano is not any hard. He lost a lot of steam because of Tommaso Ciampa. He was at the height of his popularity. He was the most beloved he has ever been on the way to Philadelphia. He should have won the championship. And I still say this. Him winning the championship and then Tommaso Ciampa hitting him from behind with that brace would have felt a little bit more, a lot more meaning behind. Like, it would have felt like he got the Cinderella ending of the story with the championship and his wife by his side, but here comes big bad Ciampa to smack him in the back, crack him in the back, and say, your fairy tale is not even close to being over. Your fairy tale is not going to have a happy ending. This is going to be a nightmare for you. And that was just what it was. So Tommaso Ciampa will get Velveteen Dream at War Games. Of course, this did not make Lars Sullivan very happy. He was seen in the back and he was asked what's up. And he said, I should be the one wrestling that match at TakeOver War Games. So I'm going to take that spot by beating down Velveteen Dream. That match is going to be next week. Cannot wait for that. We have 2 more episodes of NXT before we get to War Games. War Games can't come soon enough. I'm just going to say that right now. And that was Raw, SmackDown, NXT UK, and NXT themselves. So, like, again, I said, NXT UK is just it's at the infancy stage of this brand. And people are wondering, why is NXT UK on at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock right now when you can actually watch it after NXT itself? The reason they do that is simple, is because this is a brand for the UK market. And the UK market is at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at 3, 4, and 5 is 8, 9, and 10. Because we're 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So NXT UK is not live, but it's new at that time to accommodate for those guys and girls. Let's move on to the news here. We have backstage news on Evolution. Many fans were surprised at how different WWE Evolution seemed despite Vince McMahon being in gorilla position. Well, the differences make more sense as PW Insider has revealed several backstage details about the recent pay-per-view event. You're all wondering why they didn't have any LED boards or anything around the ring, why they were using the old school guardrail. This is why. The typical stage and lighting rigs were in Charlotte for Monday Night Raw. For that reason, WWE had to make the show look differently, so they chose to give Evolution a different look so it wouldn't look like a lesser version of what regular events get. The production team was also different as the NXT crew worked the event as the regular crew was in North Carolina. As such, Kevin Dunn was not at the event and didn't direct the show. Makes you wonder why it was actually better. It felt like it was better directed when it came to camera shots and stuff because Kevin Dunn wasn't there. Finally, Vince McMahon was in the gorilla position. It said that he just observed the event and arrived right before it began. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were also at the gorilla position for the majority of the pay-per-view. There was a lot of talk with the fact that Evolution looked way different. They had the guardrails, the old school guardrails. They didn't have any of the normal lightings. The crowd was not lit up or anything. A lot of people speculated that crew was in Saudi Arabia already. No, they were in Charlotte for Monday Night Raw, which honestly I think is pretty shitty, and that's just another wrinkle of WWE not thinking the show was really worth their time. So if anybody was wondering why Evolution looked different than you normally would, there you go. There's your answer. New champions in Evolve, and this deals with NXT as NXT has invaded Evolve. History was made at Evolve 114 when NXT stars the Street Profits, Angel Dawkins, and Montez Ford, and Fabian Aichner, which I have not seen Fabian Aichner on NXT TV in I think 6 or 7 months, came away with tag team and singles championships respectively. The event in Yuba City, Florida, Wybor, I can't even say that name, had an influx of NXT names involved in the show in preparation for a long-term angle between NXT and Evolve. The Street Profits won the Evolve Tag Team Championships after defeating Doom Patrol of Chris Dickinson and Jaka. The match built on a war of words between the two teams of social media, with Dawkins and Ford calling out the then champions on various NXT live events. The Street Profits will pull off the victory following a frog splash by Ford onto Jaka. Another major title change that happened on that show was Fabian Aichner securing the Evolve Championship, defeating Shane Strickland. If I'm correct, Shane Strickland actually beat Matt Riddle for that championship. And an open challenge, Aichner, a perennial role player on NXT rosters, is given an incredible opportunity to showcase himself in the independent scene to complement a top-heavy roster on the developing brand. As champion, he will appear on the remaining shows of 2018, including events in Detroit, November 9th, and Chicago, November 10th. WWE has, to continue on this, WWE has confirmed that NXT stars Fabian Aichner and Street Profits are set to compete on all Evolve shows remaining throughout 2018. Of course, Aichner and them won their championships. The two parties have always had a great relationship, and now it appears as if they're taking that to a whole new level. My question with this is, and I've already ranted about this a couple of weeks ago on the end of an unscripted how I hate invasion angles. Will we see an Evolve invasion angle at TakeOver War Games, where Shane Strickland or the Doom Patrol will interject in the NXT Championship match or one of these other matches to set up this feud between Evolve and NXT, in which we get an NXT takeover. The NXT takeover in Phoenix is going to have matches with Evolve versus NXT. I have no clue. This will be interesting to see. I'll keep a watch on this to see if it even makes it to the main NXT shows, like NXT TV tapings themselves, or is this just going to be something we don't see unless you go to the events themselves? Not a clue. So, congratulations to Fabian Aichner and the Street Profits on capturing gold in Evolve. TLC, people are already talking about this. Because people don't realize that the word card subject to change is always on every single one of these posters or advertisements that always come out. WWE TLC 2018 is set to take place at the SAP Center in San Jose, California on December 16th. Now, thanks to the venue's official website, we know that matches are currently planned to take place. The card is currently being headlined by the hottest feuds in WWE right now, as Seth Rollins will defend his Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose. Also set for the event is a singles match between Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre, which will not be for the Universal Championship, unfortunately. And this match is all but confirmed, and most likely is confirmed, Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax, because Nia Jax undeservedly so, won a Battle Royal for a future championship opportunity. As I said before, with the fact that Roman Reigns is out, it would not surprise me if Nia Jax actually beats Ronda Rousey. It would not surprise me. Give her that nice Samoan push. Dean Ambrose should win the Intercontinental title from Seth Rollins at TLC. That match is probably going to happen. Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman is definitely going to be happening. Drew McIntyre has actually been taunting Braun Strowman on Twitter. So they're going to be building to that, and they've already shown that they are building to that. I'm hoping we don't see these two in any type of match until we get closer to TLC, or at TLC. Moving out of WWE for a second, we're going to move over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, as they have learned that income doubled over the last year. New Japan Pro Wrestling has had a profitable year, and they've now released the results for their latest fiscal period that covers August 2017 through July of this year. The New Japan Pro Wrestling financial results are reported by wrestling financial analyst Chris Harrington over at the newly created WrestleNomics subreddit. The biggest noticeable statistic is that the net income has more than doubled from last year, as a 2,608,722 to 5,813,036. That's an impressive figure, although the total liabilities has doubled from 509,233 to 1,125,332. This is by far the largest net income for the company since February 2011. That was January 2012, where they managed to bring in 7,724,205. Things quickly slowed down after that, and they failed to make a profit from that period through July 2012, and then slowly turned things around since then. As you can see, things are finally back to looking up for the company that they had in a rocky time decades. If New Japan Pro Wrestling should honestly thank a Kenny Omega, a Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, the Elite, which, by the way, the Elite has been confirmed that they are no longer part of the Bullet Club. They are just the Elite. They are just on their own. So it basically tells you the Bullet Club went from being one of the most talked about stables to just being a stable in New Japan. I mean, Tama Tonga and Babylon Fale are the only OG members left. The Matt and Nick Jackson were actually added not too long after that, but they decided that they were going to go and be part of the Elite. So the Elite is no longer part of the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club is just Jay White, Tama Tonga, Tama Lau, Balak Fale, and whoever else is there. So the Bullet Club is not going to be as big as it was when you had Cody and them in it. So when you saw Cody and them put out shirts saying this is my final Bullet Club design, it wasn't that they were leaving New Japan, it was that they were leaving the Bullet Club eventually. Speaking of New Japan, as this plays into this net income, apparently they have money to offer, big money to WWE talent. Where'd it go? Oh my goodness, I lost it. But okay, so there was I had a news story going on here that Dave Meltzer put out that the New Japan Pro Wrestling is looking to offer big money to WWE talent. He did not name names, but of course those that are being talked about coming back are Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Gallows and Anderson most likely will be leaving WWE at the end of the year. And it sucks for Gallows and Anderson that they really didn't get to do much in WWE. Yes, they did win the Raw Tag Team Championships on a pre-show. They beat the Bar on the pre-show of the Royal Rumble for their only tag team titles, and they kept the titles till we got to WrestleMania, which of course was when the Hardys came back. and they lost their titles without even really getting a chance to have that like a memorable title reign. But of course, outside of NXT, tag team titles don't mean anything. AJ Styles is going absolutely nowhere. He's going to be staying in WWE. He is a WWE lifer. The guy is he's a two-time WWE champion. He is going to be breaking the quote-unquote record of CM Punk, even though CM Punk does not hold the record for longest singular title reign. This is WWE just showing pettiness. Now, Nakamura is a tough one because Nakamura uprooted his entire family, brought them to the United States, and has settled down, I believe, in Florida. I believe they're in Florida. So, him leaving WWE anytime soon, unless WWE was to release him because they have nothing for him anymore, I don't see happening. Outside of that, and they also did say it was a top. They did throw big. They do want to throw big money at a top guy who surprises him. So I'm not sure. It's not going to be AJ Styles. AJ Styles is going nowhere. Maybe a Seth Rollins, maybe a Daniel Bryan. I'm not sure. It would not surprise me if they throw big money at Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan. The contract, wasn't Daniel Bryan signed to a 2-year contract? I'm pretty sure it was a 2-year contract. If not, it was just an extension, or those figures never came out. I cannot remember off the top of my head. But New Japan Pro Wrestling definitely wants to try and get those big names from WWE so we can get ourselves a nice little good old-fashioned WCW, WWE brawl, like bidding war going on here. But the problem is, back when WCW did it, back when WCW threw big money at like a Hulk Hogan, a Randy Savage, Hall Nash, and Lex Luger and others, WWF had big names and big superstars that fans cared about. WWE don't really have that now. Outside of a Seth Rollins, which I don't think he's going to go anywhere anytime soon. WWE threw all their eggs in the Roman Reigns basket and sacrificed a Seth Rollins, a Braun Strowman, a Dean Ambrose, a Drew McIntyre, a Dolph Ziggler, a Kevin Owens, a Sami Zayn. Everybody, a Bobby Lashley, everybody got thrown at Roman Reigns to where now most of these people on Raw don't feel any special. And most of the people on SmackDown, they neglect or have somebody who, like, a lot of people are saying that AJ Styles should lose the WWE Championship. Yeah, it's probably time for him to give the title up. I didn't expect him to lose to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was not supposed to be in that match anyway. AJ Styles is going to hold that title until they take it off of him, even if it's longer than it needs to be. No, he's not going to hold the title for 500 and some days. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't lose the title before the Royal Rumble. I thought it would be WrestleMania, but yes, it is really hard for somebody in the WWE to hold the World Heavyweight title for longer than, I'd say 150 days, 130 days before people get tired of that person being champion. Even someone as great as AJ Styles. But the problem with AJ Styles' title reign is after WrestleMania, it was Shinsuke, Rusev, Joe, Brian Joe, and that's all we've seen so far. And before that, it was Zayn, Owens, Zayn and Owens, 5 other guys, John Cena being one, like Zayn, Owens, Baron Corbin, I believe, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler. It was Zayn, Owens, Baron Corbin, I believe, John Cena, and Dolph Ziggler, and AJ Styles in that. And then, of course, we had Shinsuke Nakamura for the entire summer. WWE just took a bunch of matches and was like, well, you know what, we're going to have AJ Styles face the same person every single month for about 4 or 5 months, and it's going to get overbearing. If WWE would have spaced things out and said, oh, okay, we'll have Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles at WrestleMania and at SummerSlam, and in between that, we'll have AJ Styles versus Rusev, AJ Styles versus this person, AJ Styles versus this person until we get to SummerSlam. And then if AJ Styles kept the title still, maybe in a screwy finish you go to the next pay-per-view, and then you go from there. It's kind of sad, though, that Shinsuke Nakamura has fallen so far that he was the Royal Rumble winner this year. He had a high card match at WrestleMania. He did was not in the main event, which was bogus. But it's so bad for Shinsuke Nakamura right now. The dude is the United States champion, and he is MIA majority of the time. You will forget that the title even exists in WWE. You'll think, oh, did they retire the U.S. title? Oh, this Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, he's the United States champion. Where the hell has he been? You'll have that feeling every single time. And it's just like, huh? What are they going to do with this? It's time for Sean. It's just like AJ Styles, I think, yes, he's gonna eclipse a year. Unless he loses the title on Tuesday, which I highly doubt. He's going to eclipse a year, and then I don't know where they go from there. We have Survivor Series coming up, so AJ Styles is not losing the title before Survivor Series, so he'll be at least 140, 50 days, 380 or 90 days before, he'll definitely eclipse 100 days, 400 days. So if AJ Styles gets to 400 days, they're going to go to 300. They're going to go another 35. So AJ Styles is not losing the WWE Championship until he passes CM Punk in a singular reign, which is not a record at all. So I don't know what the big deal is. Why did that get put there? I don't know why. Coming around to Crown Jewel again, as we do. Why did Daniel Bryan not go to Crown Jewel? A lot of people are expecting, oh, maybe it's because this Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by the Saudi government. That turns out to not be the case. Daniel Bryan had reportedly made his decision not to go to Saudi Arabia before news broke of the brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi took place. According to Dave Meltzer from the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Bryan felt uncomfortable at Saudi Arabia's treatment of homosexuals and the handling of Sami Zayn not being allowed to compete on the card for the Greatest Royal Rumble. He also reportedly wanted to lose to The Miz back at Super Showdown, which a lot of people predicted in Melbourne. The following is from the Observer 5th edition, November 5th edition of the Observer. Even though it's only November 3rd, so I don't know who the hell put that in there. Eventually, Bryan, who knew little or nothing about Saudi Arabia until he got there, largely felt he couldn't go back under those circumstances. It wasn't so much that the women weren't allowed to perform, even though he's married to a woman wrestler and has a sister-in-law who wrestles poorly. But the key was that what he learned about the treatment of homosexuals, and also that they wouldn't allow Sami Zayn to perform on the show, and he considered that racism. It was not the current controversy over Khashoggi that evidently made him make his decision, although one would think it made him feel more strongly that his decision wasn't wrong. He asked to lose to The Miz in Australia in a match where the winner would get the title shot. It's not clear if that was because he knew the title shot was coming in Saudi Arabia, or because he felt that it wasn't time yet to get his conclusive win, which would come across as a blow-off of the program. Which, that was just Daniel Bryan being smart. In my opinion, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella should have won the match at Hell in a Cell. The quote-unquote rematch for those guys still should have happened at Super Showdown. Daniel Bryan loses that match in a match that lasted a lot longer than the 2-minute bullshit we got, even though that's just that's because Triple H has to compensate for something. And can't go more than, he has to make sure his match goes on the longest. Heaven forbid Triple H is in one of the shortest matches of the night. He has that kind of ego. But yeah, Daniel Bryan has been thinking for a long time, and he did not want to go back to Saudi Arabia. So it wouldn't surprise me if we come to next year and there's another Saudi Arabian show that Daniel Bryan will also not be on that show. So anybody thinking that it was all because this journalist got murdered, you can just cut that and nip that in the butt right there, because Daniel Bryan has not wanted to be on this show, period. Speaking of this, why did John Cena not go to Crown Jewel? The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that John Cena's primary purpose for missing this week's Crown Jewel and this Saudi Arabian Crown Jewel show was likely due to his budding Hollywood career. budding. The guy's been in Hollywood for like the last 3 or 4 years, so that's not kind of budding. Budding is like he's only been doing acting for about a year or two. This dude is not gonna get. He's not. John Cena is never gonna get to the levels of a The Rock or even Dave Bautista, unless of course he goes off to play some superhero like Dave ended up falling into. Or John Cena's a villain. That would be interesting. Anyway, the belief is that Cena was advised with his transition from wrestling to Hollywood that it would be looked negatively in that world if he did a show in Saudi Arabia right now. For his career, pulling out was probably the smart move. He never said anything public, as he'll never do anything to damage the WWE and create a bigger controversy, which quite honestly he's one of the few people who could. But evidently, whether it was a moral grounds or his growing career outside of wrestling, which it was that part actually, he made his decision. He also is a big enough star that he's bulletproof. If and when he wants to come back, that there won't be any reprisals for making this call. So there you go. John Cena did not go to Crown Jewel because he's trying to make it in Hollywood and hopefully try and get the big bucks like The Rock is or Dave Bautista is. And he doesn't want to look bad for Hollywood right now. As anybody who watched Crown Jewel saw, Hulk Hogan opened the show, but why did WWE bring back Hulk Hogan for Crown Jewel? And we're moving back to the Observer. And the Observer following regards WWE's decision to bring back Hulk Hogan. Hogan had been in talks regarding doing the show for some time. It's probably not in his best interest to have returned on a show that airs on a Friday afternoon in North America. That likely a lot of people are skipping and before an audience that may pop for him since he's Hulk Hogan, but it won't be nearly as special as if he had been in the United States. On a bigger show, Hogan will be the host of the show, and is in its own weird way, the Hogan return gets him back at a time when his return will end up having less controversy than ever before, which also has to do with it being announced 2 days ahead of time. And for some fans, the idea that the WWE gave them a women's show, the return of Hulk Hogan, and brought Shawn Michaels out of retirement will be seen as more important in the bubble world than anything, whatever negative feelings there would be on the show. Of course, Hogan is controversial because it's hard to look the other way at racist comments, especially when his attempt to apologize to the locker room went the way it did, which was absolutely poor and just in bad taste by WWE. What WWE should have did if they wanted this fucking apology to go well, they should have had a written statement for Hulk Hogan and had him just not look at it and try and do this, but rehearse what he was going to say, because what he said offended probably a lot more people than he thought it did. It was just a matter of time before they felt the backlash would be minimal, and if anything, for those who would be upset Hogan saying some racist words 13 years ago hardly comes across as a major issue as compared to dismembering someone in an embassy and thinking it could be covered up. But evidently the company wanted to low-key his return like Saudi Arabia. A commercial had been put together before Raw for Crown Jewel that featured Hogan in it and his return announced. Those in production were expecting it to be announced on Raw. The decision was instead made to quietly list his name on the website without even a story. Then, according to WWE, due to the snafu, he was taken off that listing, but the company confirmed on Halloween that he was scheduled to host the show. More coming out of Crown Jewel has become, here's my thoughts on Hulk Hogan. The guy's a piece of shit. The guy has always 110% been a piece of shit. He is not somebody I would ever want to meet. I've never been a Terry Bollea fan. I've never been a Hulk Hogan fan. I liked this Hollywood Hogan thing in WCW because that was the real Terry Bollea. He is not a good dude. Hulk Hogan has never been a good dude. He is a good actor. He plays the part of a good dude well, but Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea is not a good dude. WWE can do what the hell they want because they make all their money that they want. And I say that WWE can do what they want because, one, they brought Shawn Michaels out of retirement after 8 years. 8 years of saying, I will never come out of retirement. You can pay me all the money in the world and I won't come out of retirement because I respect The Undertaker. I respect the fans. I respect this. I respect that. All turns out to be absolute fucking bullshit. As a famous man once said, everybody has a price. Even Shawn Michaels has a price. And apparently, Saudi Arabia was going to pay him enough that he could not refuse to stay home. Whatever. It was just whatever. Speaking of that said match with Shawn Michaels and becoming a big, huge hypocrite that he is, Shawn Michaels, I lost a lot of respect for the guy for what he did. He's a hypocrite, and that's all there is to it. But his DX running mate is injured now. So I hope that meaningless match between DX and the Brothers of Destruction was really worth it, because now Triple H is probably going to miss WrestleMania, which, in my opinion, is fine. He doesn't need to wrestle every year, but this is not good for him. WWE Executive VP of Talent Triple H has suffered what is being reported as a torn pectoral muscle. Triple H suffered the injury when teaming with his longtime DX partner Shawn Michaels against the Brothers of Destruction at Saudi Arabia's Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Please, Shawn, if you're going to wrestle another match, grow some hair back. I don't want to see you bald again. According to WWE.com, Triple H will return to the United States this week, where he plans to undergo surgical repair. Triple H appeared to suffer the injury during the Crown Jewel, as he looked to be in a significant amount of pain during the match. Triple H also appeared to be favoring his right side of his upper body over the other. He was able to hit the pedigree and cover Kane for the pinfall. However, when he and Shawn Michaels celebrated the victory, his right arm hung awkwardly as on his side. When you want to compare this to somebody else, John Cena tore his pectoral muscle in late 2015. He was given a recovery time of 9 months. That's not the right year. That's not even close to the right year. 2005. It was 2005. That's wrong. That's the wrong year. It's not 2015. 2005. Oh wait, no, it was 2015. My bad. Yeah, they're right. I thought he tore his pectoral muscle in 2005 or something. He must have did it twice. He was given an in-ring return of 9 months. Only returned in 5. Of course, as we know, John Cena is a freak of nature and can turn really faster than others. The big difference between John Cena and Triple H is the age. Triple H is reaching 50 soon. John Cena was in his mid-30s, I believe, when that happened. So age is going to play a factor, and this is probably going to take him a lot longer to recover. So we might not see Triple H again until SummerSlam. And what are you going to do? It is what it is. Sorry, I had a little something in my throat. Moving out of WWE again, let's talk about Impact Wrestling a little bit, as they are still high on Austin Aries even after him walking out, flipping the bird to Don Callis, and then flipping the bird to all the fans in New York City. More information is now available on Austin Aries' status as a free agent, thanks to the latest issue of the Wrestling Observer. While many suspected Aries had a massive backstage heat on him for the controversial ending of Bound for Glory that saw Aries flip off Don Callis and quickly leave after losing the Impact Championship to Johnny Impact. However, that is not the case. In fact, Dave reports that the company is very high on him. If they aren't mad, then that looks like it was a planned angle to make things look real after the beef that Impact and Aries had leading up to the pay-per-view event. Speaking of that, the company was actually upset about the Twitter beef that had Aries calling Impact's wife, Tyra Valkyrie, Husky. This isn't because he crossed the line, as it was designed for Aries and the former Johnny Morrison, but because the two didn't get the angle okayed beforehand. However, they were able to get TMZ coverage from it, so they changed plans and used their work shoot to their advantage. With all the news on the latest Austin Aries update, would you like to see him return to Impact Wrestling? Not really. Austin Aries has this big attitude problem. He thinks he's better than everybody else, which at times, if depending on the company, yes, he probably is, but he's not the end-all be-all when it comes to wrestling. The dude needs to learn to work with other people. And Impact Wrestling, they're in a bad spot right now. Impact Wrestling is in a very bad spot. After losing Spike TV and when they went to Destination America, which didn't work out for them, and Dixie Carter ruined that TV contract, they landed on Pop TV. Not too many people get Pop TV. So they are sort of SOL on a lot of things, and Pop moved them to 10 p.m. So they're like an after dark thing now, and they're on Thursday. Thursday Night Football is back right now, so whatever ratings they would get anyway is going to be in the toilet because more people are going to be watching football over Impact Wrestling, where everybody can pretty much watch Thursday Night Football. Less than, like, they started, like, Impact Wrestling is getting a lot better than where they were a couple years ago or even last year. But their biggest problem is they need to find a new TV station. They need to find something that more people can see them. Impact Wrestling should be it just sucks that a lot of people, a lot of companies, here's the thing. If Fox would have got both Raw and SmackDown, Impact Wrestling probably could have talked to NBC Universal and got a time slot on USA, Sci-Fi, whichever one, and that would have been a much better spot for them than where they're at right now. Impact Wrestling would probably benefit more from syndication than where they're at right now. I'm just saying. So let me know what you think about Austin Aries. We have one more here, and it's all about Lio Rush. As we all know, Lio Rush is the hype man for Bobby Lashley and helped him pull off, I think, a good heel turn. Even though the heel turn, Bobby Lashley is one of those guys that WWE just doesn't know how to book him. Bobby Lashley, in my opinion, should ask for his release and move back to Impact Wrestling. He might not get the big bucks like he does with WWE, but he can also go off and fight again when he's working with Impact Wrestling, and they know how to use him right. WWE does not. He works better in Impact Wrestling. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not. If you belong, it's like Bobby Lashley belongs in Impact Wrestling. That is where he thrives the most. WWE just doesn't know how to use the guy. He needs to go back to Impact Wrestling where things for him would work. What were the original plans for Lio Rush? The original plans for Lio Rush on 205 Live was for him to continue the act he had done with Babatunde in NXT. If anybody knows who Babatunde was, he was the big brooding guy who was in the Greatest Royal Rumble at, number 37. He was a big brooding guy. He was supposed to be on the house show circuit for NXT. He was Lio Rush's bodyguard, aka the Shawn Michaels and Diesel thing, where he was Diesel and Lio Rush was supposed to be Shawn Michaels of the group. The idea was for Rush to be the lead heel on the Cruiserweight brand and have him constantly hiding behind the 6'11" Babatunde. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Rush and Babatunde experimented with the gimmick at various NXT live events. Rush ended up making his main roster debut in June of this year on 205 Live, but he didn't get any significant run as he was called up to Raw in September to be the manager for Bobby Lashley, leading to Lashley's heel turn. Babatunde remains in development, but it looks like they don't have much for him these days. Babatunde appeared on the main roster during the Greatest Royal Rumble. He's probably going to be one of those guys that WWE is like, well, we really had nothing for him, so just cut your losses. So, pretty much, Lio Rush was supposed to be in a Diesel Shawn Michaels type thing, like when Diesel and Shawn Michaels did it, when Brian Kendrick and Ezekiel Jackson did it. Lio Rush is better how he is. He's the hype man for Bobby Lashley, and he also gets to show off what he can do when he wrestles on 205 Live. Dude should get a Cruiserweight Championship run in the next year. By this time next year, Lio Rush needs at least one Cruiserweight Championship run. I don't care if it's a month. I don't care if it's a week. I don't care if it's 2 months or a day. It doesn't matter. The guy needs one run as a Cruiserweight champion. He is just too damn talented not to get a championship opportunity. His client, on the other hand, is a single star. No, there's been talk about Lio Rush recruiting, doing a faction or a tag team. Apollo Crews is doing absolutely nothing but being this jobber to the stars. Why not? And I've never seen Apollo Crews when he was Uran Nation in the Indies. I don't know if he's ever been a heel or not. I think he could pull being a heel off very well. So have Lio Rush recruit Apollo Crews and have Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews be a tag team with Lio Rush as their manager. Lio Rush can just sit there and watch these guys go, and it's real simple. Apollo Crews takes the heat, Bobby Lashley comes in, does the big power moves, and boom, there you go. You have yourself another viable tag team. You can call them whatever the hell you want. But Bobby Lashley is floundering in WWE, and they need to figure something out. Putting Lio Rush with him is a good thing because Bobby Lashley cannot talk worth anything with these script writers in WWE. He can somewhat talk in Impact Wrestling. Of course, he's not being told what to say most of the time. He just says what he wants. But if WWE wants to make the most out of Bobby Lashley, bring Apollo Crews over to the enterprise of Lio Rush, the man of the hour, and there you go, man of the hour for enterprises. I don't know, something. Because if you get Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews, they could be a formal tag team. Then that would give you the Authors of Pain, Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews, and the Revival if you bring them back up and build them back up. Just something. Bobby Lashley right now is just treading water, and it needs to fix. Lio Rush is in a good spot. I don't know. What are they going to do with the guy? Again, he needs a championship run, and hopefully they can figure something out with him and his partnership with Bobby Lashley. But that is going to be your Unscripted for November 3rd as we continue on getting closer to. We have 7 more weeks of this year. I figured 50 a year would be fine. I did take a week off earlier this year because of personal problems at the time, which have now been lifted off my shoulders because of a certain someone. But things are looking up, and hopefully in the next coming weeks or so, I can get myself a nice PC built up to make this PC built up, mic and all that good stuff, and maybe someday we'll see me on the nice screen where this little black screen's at. But I will see you guys again for Monday Night Raw, where will be the fallout from Crown Jewel, I guess. SmackDown is going to be interesting because are they going to even have Shane McMahon show up with the World Cup trophy? I still can't believe I read that. I go to the news things and it's like Shane McMahon won the World Cup, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this, and what the hell are they doing? But that's going to be Tuesday. And I'm starting to contemplate maybe if NXT UK goes back to an hour, like it was the first 2 weeks, I might combine NXT and NXT UK into one show, just because it makes it a little bit easier. But that is going to be all for now. I will see you guys on Monday. You guys have a good one. My name is Franz. Find me on Twitter at TheFranz. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFranz08. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, and I will see you guys on Monday for Monday Night Raw.